You ever just feel like no matter what anybody tell you, you dubbing that shit cause you just know you that guy? That's how I'm feeling right now. I'm about to levitate.
All right. What is up? Welcome to the James Nolan podcast live. I'm going to put it up right here real quick. We're going to get started off. The Jets need a backup quarterback in 20. Whoa. Got a lot of storylines here today. Mets need a DH, so we're going to get started off with that. I got 3 guys that are still available that I think the Mets should be interested in. One that I wrote about a few weeks ago, of course, Jorge Soler. Another guy, former Met, Justin Turner. And then the former Los Angeles Dodger and Boston Red Sox, JD Martinez. So we're going to be going over those 3 guys. Going over the Mets rotation as a whole. Kodai Senga, is he an ace? Should we trust him to be the ace for the full season in year 2 for him? Should we trust Sean Manaea, who had a 2.98 ERA in his last 15 starts last season? Who should we trust to? Jose Quintana as our 2? I don't know. Luis Severino, could he have a year like he did in 2021? 2022 and 2023, they sucked for Severino. But if he gets back to the healthy Severino, the guy where he was a few years back with the Yankees, then the Mets rotation could actually be solid. And then, of course, Adrian Hauser, who is a Milwaukee Brewer, David Stearns guy. But Edwin Diaz will be coming back, so the Mets do actually have a shot at the postseason. So I'm going to be going over that. Also going to be going over the Yankees as well for you Yankees fans. Going to be going over their rotation. They reportedly are the only team that offered Blake Snell a contract so far this offseason, and he declined. So we'll see. He wants $30 million a year. Maybe the Yankees do get him because nobody else is in on him. But it would make their rotation dominant. I said it on the last pod last week. Snell to the Yankees would make them elite. Josh Hader went to Houston, so no more Josh Hader to the Yanks anymore. It's Blake Snell time for the Yanks. Get Snell, load up the rotation, get to the World Series, because this team with Soto, Judge, you got Rizzo, Stanton, who I'm also going to be going over, this power in this lineup. Anthony Volpe, too, who had over 20 home runs in his first season as the Yankees shortstop. The Yankees lineup has power. Going to be going over that with the Yankees, and then some Jets and Giants talk, but mainly Knicks talk as well to wrap up the show tonight. The Knicks are going off. Julius Randle, he deserves respect. Jalen Brunson is a superstar. He is averaging close to 27 a game, averaging over 28 a game over his last 15 contests. Jalen Brunson is a superstar. And the Knicks, they have a shot at the Eastern Conference Finals if they get a 6-man. And we're going to be going over who they should get as 6-man. I've been listening to Eddie Presti a lot on this too. I've been taking his input. One guy that I saw that I really liked, that I think it was a few weeks ago, Jordan Clarkson in a Knicks trade. I like the idea of Jordan Clarkson from Utah Jazz. Maybe we trade for him. He would be a great 6-man. Also going to be going over other potential guys such as Malcolm Brogdon. He could be a fit as a Knicks 6-man. But let's wrap up the intro and let's get into it. Mets need a DH. Who should they get? The available DH is in free agency right now that I think that could be a good fit with the New York Mets right now. JD Martinez, Jorge Soler, and Justin Turner. All veterans, all guys who actually had really good years in 2023, even though they're aging. Designated hitter. All they're going to do is hit. They don't need a field. So, just in case you don't know baseball, I'm sure everybody does. Let's see. We got a comment. Let's see what it is before I get into it. Trade Armar Narvaez for prospects. Sign Peralta. And I do want to sign David Robertson. I think the bullpen definitely does need to be improved. I think you get Robertson to pair him up with Diaz in the back end of the bullpen. That'd be dope. That really would be dope. And then Pete, a good offer. Yes, Pete should get a good offer. If you haven't seen my latest fan-sided article, I believe the link is in the description below on YouTube. Would I like to bring in Adam Ottavino, Jared? Yes, I would. What's up, Jared? Long time no talk, dude. I would love Otto. Yes, I would love Otto. He has a decent year last year. I'm actually going to look up his numbers right now. What was Otto's numbers? Because the Mets do need a bullpen. Last year, when they thought they were going to have Diaz, and then in front of him, Ottavino, and David Robertson. We thought we were going to have a dominant bullpen. Last year, 3.21 ERA last year in 61 innings. He had 12 saves for us because we didn't have a closer at the time. And then in 2022, when we won 101 games, 2.06 ERA in 65 innings. 66 games in back-to-back seasons with the Mets. So he's a guy who's going to stay healthy, and he's going to be productive. So, yeah, I do like the idea of bringing back Ottavino. I don't know your thoughts on it, Jared. Let me know what you think in the comments. But I would like to bring back Otto. 2.06 in ERA, 2.06, and then 3.21 in 2023 for overall 2.62 ERA in 2 years with the Mets. Pretty good. So, yeah, I would get him short-term deal. Maybe you get him on a one-year deal. You get David Robertson on a one-year deal. You get two vets in the back end of the bullpen with Edwin Diaz. And that starting rotation, you just bank on it. Going to be going over it in a little bit. Actually, might just start off with it now that I'm talking pitching. He did decline the Mets $6 million option, but now he might come back. Not opposed either. Yeah. I mean, the $6 million option, maybe he gets 10 mil. I would give him 1 year, 10 mil. Why not? 1 year, 10 mil. We got a lot of dead money in 2024, obviously, but best case, we get to the playoffs. Ottavino has another good season with the Mets. Worst case, he has a good season and we trade him at the deadline. Who knows? Definitely less. All right, maybe 8 mil. I don't know. He clearly wants more than 6 mil. I'd maybe go 7 to 10. I wouldn't go more than 10. I wouldn't go less than 7 probably. He's only coming back if he didn't get more from other teams. Oh, true. Maybe just testing the market, testing the waters. Going to be interesting to see what they do, but I would love that idea. So before I do get into the DHs, now that I'm talking pitching, let's talk about the pitching. Starting rotation seems to be set. You got Kodai Senga, who had a great first year with the Mets. And then you got Jose Quintana in the second half, had a decent year. Sean Manaea, who they signed, 2-year deal, I believe. Luis Severino got on a 1-year deal, 13 mil, I believe. And then Adrian Hauser, former Milwaukee Brewer, David Stearns guy, had a decent year a few years back, sub-3 ERA, but outside of that, nothing too impressive. But let's go over it 1 through 5. Kodai Senga, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Do you think he's an ace? I think he's an ace. I think we should actually start giving this guy. I think he's underrated. I think he's one of the most underrated pitchers in baseball. I believe he was top 5 in ERA, right at 5 in all of MLB, not just National League, with a 2.98 ERA, 202 strikeouts in his first year in the big leagues in America. So he's 30 years old, but you also got to factor in it was his first year in the bigs. So he's probably got 3 dominant years left if he is going to be dominant at all. And then that two years left on his deal. Maybe he just a veteran guy that can chop up some minutes. But going into this year, he's our ace. This is who we got to depend on to be our ace. And I think if the Mets do produce offensively, which I'm going to be getting into later, I think they actually could. If they have some bounce back seasons from some key guys, I think that we could see a Mets team that sneaks into the postseason with a wild card run. Who knows? But Senga, he has to be our ace. He has to. It's not Justin Verlander. It's not Max Scherzer. Now it is Kodai Senga. It's his rotation. It's his team. He's going to be the guy that's starting out there opening day. Kodai Senga's the guy. He's the guy I got hanging up right there. So, and I do believe in him. I do believe in him to be the ace. Last year, how many innings did Kodai Senga throw? Just over 160 innings. He made the All-Star team. In the second half, he really started to turn it up. The walks were kind of killing him in the first half of the year. But once he really got settled in, he made 29 starts, 166 innings. But yeah, the walks were killing him in the beginning of the year. But once he got settled in and he got comfortable, then he really started to turn it on, lowered that ERA under 3, finished 7th in Cy Young voting. First year in the league, 7th in Cy Young voting. So, yeah, going into 2024, I'm excited to see what Kodai Senga is going to do. How is he going to one-up what he did in 2023? Let me know in the comments if you think that Senga can one-up what he did in 2023. 2.98 ERA, 29 starts in his first year. 5 years, $75 million for him. Jose Quintana, we gave him a contract just last offseason. I think it was a 2-year deal too. So final year of his contract. Maybe we trade him at the deadline if we stink. But hopefully, like I said, this is a positive Mets take right now. Maybe they sneak into the postseason, and they need the second half Jose Quintana. They need Jose Quintana to stay healthy all year. Only 13 starts, but they were actually pretty decent. 3.57 ERA in those starts. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to do that all year, but if he can give you a sub-4 ERA, who knows? But he's going to be our number 2 guy. Maybe if we're winning at the deadline, we trade for another pitcher such as Corbin Burns or maybe even Cleveland's Shane Bieber at the deadline if we're really, really pulling it and making a case for the playoff race. But he's our number 2 for the first half of the year at least. So we'll see what he can do. Second half of last year, he actually did decent. So I'm not too high on Jose Quintana, but if he can do what he did in the second half and the first half of this year, then he'd be a dependable number 2. And then maybe, like I said, if we're in the playoff race, come the deadline, we trade for a number 2. Push him back in the rotation because we do need a lefty in there. But Sean Manaea, another guy that a lot of Mets fans are excited about. Last 15 starts of 2023. That's what a lot of Mets fans are excited about because of that. 2.98 ERA, 4-3 in the second half of 2023 for Manaea. Listen, I think he could turn out to be a plus, but he does have a career 4 ERA, somewhere over near the 4s. So I'm not going to say this guy is going to go out here and be our number 2 or an ace. We're overhyping him a little bit, but I think last week on the pod, I did underrate him a little bit. You know, after watching the tape a little bit, he does have some good stuff. Fastball just up 95 and 96 just as of last year. He had a little quirk in his rotation, and he fixed something because now he's throwing a little bit harder. And he's got good curve. So, listen, I'll see what Manaea can do. I'm, I guess, a little bit more excited than I was last week. But yeah. Pitbull's excited about him, but Sean Manaea, maybe he can be the Pitbull for the New York Mets. We'll see. 2.98 ERA in the last 15 starts for him last year. So who knows? Who knows? Luis Severino, I'm excited for him. 6.65 ERA in 2023 wasn't too exciting, but when you look at his career overall, when he's healthy, he is a dependable starter. 54 and 37 career, 3.79 career ERA. Now, this is the Severino that the Mets need. You take away 2023. From 2017 to 2022, he was a top starter in baseball. 42 and 18, 3.10 ERA. He was actually that guy. So maybe he could be the number 2 for the Mets. 1-year deal. Maybe he's good and the Mets stink. You trade him at the deadline. You get some prospects. Go all for 2025. When you got guys like Louis Angel Acuna, Drew Gilbert, the prospects that the Mets are starting to love, Jet Williams. But if the Mets are winning, it's probably because their pitching is doing well. And if their pitching is doing well, it means Severino's doing well. And if Severino stays healthy, if he does stay healthy, I think Severino could be productive for the Mets all year. But he's got to be healthy. That's the key. Got to be healthy. But 2017 to 2022, you see it right there. Severino was a top starter in baseball. But in 2023, he stunk. He stunk. Adrian Hauser, I'm not too excited about. I think it was 2021 when he had a sub-3 ERA. But other than that, Adrian Hauser has been nothing but a lackluster starter. And he was with the Milwaukee Brewers. He was David Stern's guy, so that's why we got him. But he's going to be our 5. And then in the mix for the rotation is obviously the guys who have always been in the mix, Tyler McGill and David Peterson. Woohoo! But that wraps up my Mets little pitching preview. My takes on all the starters, but obviously Kodai Senga, he's the ace. He's the guy that us Mets fans have to depend on in 2024 to carry us to a potential wild card round. But the Mets still need a DH, and one of those DHs could be one of these three guys, unless they do roll with Mark Vientos. Who knows? But I don't think they should. A lot of Mets fans agree with me, thinking that they need to go after one of these three guys. Jorge Soler, wrote an article about him a couple weeks ago, so we'll start off with him, just finish off with him. 36 home runs, 250 batting average, 853 OPS. Scary part about him, that was his career year. So 1 to 2 year deal for him, I wouldn't mind, but I would much rather one of these next two guys. Jorge Soler, if you want to know more of my thoughts about him, go click that link in the description and scroll to that article. Justin Turner, that's a former Met. A lot of Mets fans would like. We need a third baseman one, so maybe he could play some third base, give some guys a day off. Maybe Mark Vientos and Brett Beatty don't pan out. And obviously, Mauricio just had that torn ACL in fall ball, so he's done. We need a third baseman and we need a DH, so that cuts both right there. 276 batting average, 800 OPS, 23 home runs. So that would give you Alvarez, Turner, Lindor, Alonso, Nimmo. That's 5 guys in the lineup that hit 20-plus home runs last season. So I would love to see Justin Turner in that lineup. But another guy who I think he's my number one choice is JD Martinez. He's a guy who I thought the Mets should have signed last offseason to be the DH, but they didn't. 33 home runs, 271 batting average, 893 OPS in 2023. JD Martinez is the guy that I believe that the Mets should sign to be their DH in 2024. Give him a 1 to 2 year deal, and if you stink, trade him at the deadline because I think he will have a productive year no matter what. But JD Martinez, he's the guy I think the Mets should sign as DH. He's a veteran. He's been around a while. He's won in the major leagues before. I think you gotta get JD Martinez, one, to develop the young guys on the roster and the young guys that might come up. And if you're going to be in the wild card race, you need a DH. That's the guy you need. 30-plus home runs from JD Martinez, Lindor, and Alonso, and then potentially Francisco Alvarez, who I think is going to hit 30-plus home runs next year too. But yeah, that's it. Those are the 3 guys that the Mets should sign as, or 3 guys that the Mets should consider signing as their DH. All right, let's wrap up this baseball talk with some Yankees talk. Are the Yankees the most underrated team? I think they are. You know, we're all talking about the Dodgers. Yeah, they got Yamamoto. They got Ohtani. They got Mookie Betts. They got Freddie Freeman. Who else? They got all these guys. Walker Buehler, who's going to hopefully have a bounce back year for them. But a lot of guys, a lot of other teams we're talking about, such as Texas Rangers, even too, just coming off another World Series here, with the Houston Astros finally getting their closer in Josh Hader. Those teams are stacked, yes, but I think we're underrating the Yankees a little bit. One, they have Juan Soto and Aaron Judge, who are two top 5 hitters. I think Aaron Judge is the best hitter in baseball when he's healthy. Yes, best hitter in baseball, better than Shohei Ohtani. Aaron Judge is that good. Juan Soto, I think he's maybe 3rd or 4th best hitter. Ronald Acuna is right up there. He's definitely in the top 5 too. But Soto is that good. When you look at the Yankees offense, it's just loaded. Judge, Soto, Rizzo, Stanton, and Anthony Volpe, all those guys, they're going to give you 25-plus home runs, I think. So there you go, right there. 25 times 5, what is that? I wasn't a math major, so that puts that 125. 125 home runs right there from 5 guys. Yankees bullpen, last year they had the best bullpen in the league. I think they might re-sign Wandy Peralta. Who knows? Just strengthen up the bullpen, but their bullpen is that good. Garrett Cole, Nestor Cortez, Carlos Rodon, Marcus Stroman, and Clark Schmidt, that's pretty good. And apparently they're in on Blake Snell. So, yeah, the Yankees, I think, are the most underrated team in baseball. I think they're right up there as a World Series contender going into 2024. They're that good. They have the best pitcher in baseball. They have the best hitter in baseball. And they have another top 5 hitter in Juan Soto. They're that good. And they have the best bullpen. And then if Stanton has a bounce back year, and if Rizzo and Volpe go off, that's a lot of home runs. And the rotation is that good. And DJ LeMahieu also had a good second half too. So, yeah, let's go over their rotation, though. I went over the Mets rotation, and then we'll get over into some over-unders just for the Yankees. We'll do the Mets next week. Yeah, let's get into this Yankees rotation. They might sign Blake Snell. We'll also get into that in a little bit. But Garrett Cole, obviously the ace of the staff, best pitcher in baseball, 2.63, 15-4 in 2023, capturing his first Cy Young. I thought he should have captured that Cy Young the year he was battling for it with Verlander when he was with the Astros, but he didn't, whatever. But Cole got his first Cy Young last year. He'll probably be the best pitcher in baseball yet again in 2024. He's like the only consistent ace year in and year out, I feel like, anymore. Garrett Cole is that good. He's the best pitcher in the league. One guy who needs to have a healthy year is Nestor Cortez. Last year, he stunk because he was hurt. But in 2021 through 2022, he was one of the better Yankee starters, probably the second best, right behind Garrett Cole. He was a Cy Young candidate in 2022, too. So 2.61 ERA and 14-7 over the 2-year span from 21 through 22. You need that Nestor Cortez in 2024 to be a World Series contender. You get that Nestor Cortez, you're going to be a World Series contender. Carlos Rodon, same thing. You need him. You need that guy he was 2 years ago. 27-13, 2.67 ERA. He was one of the best starters in baseball for 2 straight years. You get that guy, not the guy that was hurt last year. I think it's the same thing as Cortez. Rodon and Cortez, if they stay healthy, that's three top starters in the league. You got Cole, who's just going to be a Cy Young candidate again. And then you got Rodon and Cortez, 2 former Cy Young candidates. So one guy is a Cy Young, 2 Cy Young candidates. But all 3 of them got to stay healthy. Cole will, but the 2 other guys, they got to stay healthy. Marcus Stroman, he's going to stay healthy. He's going to give you 25-plus starts. He's very dependable. Started at least 25 games for 3 consecutive years now. 3.95 ERA, 10-9 last year. He was one of the best starters in baseball in the first half of the year. Stroman, as much as Mets fans do hate him, and I do hate him too, but I got to give him credit. He's a good pitcher. And like I said, dependable. Started at least 25 games for 3 consecutive years. Then you got Clark Schmidt. And this is when I'm going to lead into Blake Snell. This is the guy you got to bump back to the bullpen. 4.64 ERA and 9-9 last year in his first season as a starter. But they're reportedly the only team that made an offer to Blake Snell, according to, I think it was Nightingale. Not very trusted, but who knows? Yankees should sign Snell. They should. Pair him up with Cole at the front end of the rotation. That would give you the most dominant rotation in baseball. Like I said, they're the most underrated team. They're going for a World Series. They got Soto for 1 year, but maybe. They got Judge. They got Cole. They're not getting any younger. Get Blake Snell. 14-9, 2.25 ERA. He had over 220 strikeouts last year. He was dominant. Walks are the only problem for him. If he doesn't walk guys, he's a beast. He's a Cy Young. Get him. 2-time Cy Young Award winner. Pair him up with Garrett Cole. You have the 2 best pitchers in baseball, maybe. All right. We're going to get an over-under going for the Yankees home runs for guys like Giancarlo Stanton, Anthony Rizzo, Juan Soto, and Aaron Judge. But I'm going to take a quick break, and then we're going to get into that. So watch this video of why the Jets should sign Gardner Minshew as their backup QB. But the Jets need a backup quarterback in 2024. Gardner Minshew will be available. Gardner Minshew is the guy that they should get. Gardner Minshew actually almost got the Colts into the playoffs. Yes, he had a little debacle at the end of the year, but it's not all on him. One, he's 27 years old, so he can move around a little bit. He's not going to be like a Tim Boyle or a Trevor Siemian, a guy who's going to be just standing there. And also, he had a 62.2 completion percentage, 3,300 yards in 2023, 15 passing touchdowns, and how many interceptions? Let's see. Only 9, 15-9. So if Aaron Rodgers does go down with an injury and it was Gardner Minshew who stepped in, you'd be a lot more confident than a lot of the other backup options. Ideally, it would be Mike White, but that's not happening. He signed a 2-year deal. He's going to be with Miami. Gardner Minshew is the guy that the Jets should go out there and get as their backup. Now, there are other options. They could go get Sam Darnold, another former Jets quarterback who will be available in free agency. There are other backup options, and they could always go out there and draft a future guy, maybe in the 2nd or the 3rd round. All right. Yeah, go get Gardner Minshew, New York Jets. Make him your backup quarterback. All right, let's get into these Yankees over-unders and then get in some of the Knicks subjects. All right. Let's start off with Giancarlo Stanton, a guy who, if he stays healthy, I think he could hit over 25 home runs. You see it right there. That's my prediction. 28 home runs for Stanton. I'm taking the over. If you want to participate, drop in the comments what you think. But Giancarlo Stanton, over under 25. I'm going over and predicting 28 for the year. Rizzo, I set his over-under at 30 based off his last 2 years with the Yankees, but I'm going under. I think he's going to take a step back, which not necessarily is a bad thing considering you add Juan Soto to the lineup. He's still going to be productive, hitting 24 home runs. That's what I think in 2024. Now, obviously, these are predictions. They're not set in stone, so don't get mad at me. Juan Soto, obviously, you got to set him with some high expectations. 35 home runs. I'm taking the over. I think he's going to hit 36 in 2024 in his first year with the Yankees, and I think he's going to re-sign with the Yankees in the offseason, as much as a lot of Mets fans want to say otherwise. This Mets fan thinks that Soto will re-sign. Judge, I think he's going to hit 56 home runs. I said it at 44 because he did get hurt last year, so just in case he does get hurt. But if he stays healthy year-round, I think he's hitting 55-plus home runs in 2024. That wraps up my Yankees talk and baseball talk overall. Let's get into some Knicks, and then we'll get into some NFL postseason talk. And then, why not? Let's talk about some WWE stuff. We got, apparently, Seth Rollins is hurt and giving up his title. But let's go into the Knicks, man. 26-17. The Knicks are good, man. 5th in the Eastern Conference. They've really taken a step forward since this OG Anunoby trade. RJ Barrett scored 20 points in his return to the Garden. Emmanuel quickly, he didn't have a great return to the Garden, but he's still playing well in Toronto. So good for those guys. I don't really have much on them. They're no longer Knicks, but I do appreciate what they did. They really were part of the turnaround, obviously, getting the Knicks to the postseason. RJ Barrett, that dunk that he had against Atlanta, that's what I most remember out of RJ. And then quickly, I mean, the performances that he put up as our sixth man, we need another guy to replace him. He's hard to replace, like we see it right now. The one guy we need to replace badly is Emmanuel quickly. We need a sixth man. But we do have a superstar, Jalen Brunson. Obviously, we need to replace someone, but negative to positive. Jalen Brunson, he's a superstar. His stats this year, he's going off 26.5 points per game, shooting 43% from behind the arc, 48% from the field as a whole. Jalen Brunson is that dude. Scored 38 points. Sorry, some guy just texted me. I guess he's calling out. All right, whatever. So Jalen Brunson scored 38 points last night against Toronto, or 2 nights ago against Toronto. He's a beast. He's a beast. He's just that dude, and I think he's going to lead us to the Eastern Conference Finals this year. He's that good. And yeah, Julius Randle, like I said at the beginning of the show, he deserves some credit, especially over his last 15 games, I believe. He's scoring over like 28 a night. So Julius Randle, 24.1 points per game this year, 9.3 rebounds per game, 48% from the field as a whole. Had a triple-double the other night, 4th overall on Knicks triple-doubles franchise list. So, yeah, Randle deserves credit. He's putting himself up there with the Knicks greats right now. He really wants to win a championship, and he's showing it this year. When he moves the ball, when he moves in the offense, when he tries to get rebounds, the Knicks are top 3 in rebounds this year because of Julius Randle's efforts, because he's putting in the effort. He's putting in the effort. He really wants to win. He said it at the beginning of the year. He doesn't care about the stats anymore. He cares about winning. The stats will come if he cares about winning, because he is a very good basketball player. He's probably a top 3 power forward. You got Giannis, you got Anthony Davis, and then you got Julius Randle, in my opinion. He's a top 3 power forward. Julius Randle is that good. When he cares about winning more than scoring, he's going to actually score more because he's that good of a player. And him and Jalen Brunson, the chemistry is really it's getting good. It's getting good. And the league should take notice because they're a 6-man away from taking off. Top 3 in rebounds this year because of guys like Julius Randle putting in the effort. Yes, CP, Julius Randle is on his way to being a 3-time All-NBA. He's becoming an all-time great with the Knicks. And if they do add a sixth man, I really do believe they're up there as a top 3 team in the East. It's the Bucks, it's the Celtics, and then I think the Knicks take a step forward above the Sixers because I think the Sixers are a top 3 team too. But I think the Knicks would surpass the Sixers as a top 3 team if you got a six man, which I'm going to get into in a little bit. But Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson, they're superstars. They are. I mean, I don't know about Julius Randle being a superstar, but Jalen Brunson is a superstar, and Julius Randle, he's an all-star, and he's all NBA. About to be 3-time all NBA. Put respect on Julius Randle's name. He's that good. But Knicks do need a six man. That's one thing they do need. But before I do get into their needs for a six man, I got to throw some credit to OG Anunoby's way. The Knicks are on fire since they traded for him, and he's been on fire too. 14.9 points per game, 51% from the field. And defensively, that's what he was. That's why we traded for him, for his defense. 3-and-D. That's what he does. 1.2 steals, 1.2 blocks. He's a beast. He's versatile. That's what we needed. Love to see what OG's doing, and I think he's only going to get better and better. But the Knicks do need a six-man. They need a six-man. Bruce Brown's a guy they could go out there and get from Toronto. Jordan Clarkson, a guy that I know that I want. I mentioned it at the beginning of the show. I saw Eddie posted it a while back on X. Jordan Clarkson, I would love to see us get him. But Malcolm Brogdon, another guy that the Knicks could potentially get. So I want Jordan Clarkson. I think Jordan Clarkson should be the guy that we get. Should be the guy we get. Let's go over his stats this year. He's averaging 18.3 points per game, 5.1 assists per game. We got to get him. I think he's the guy. You get Jordan Clarkson off the bench for this team with Josh Hart, Miles McBride. Maybe he still gets some minutes too. We also need a center too because Hartenstein's also a game time decision tomorrow against the Nets. But yeah, Jordan Clarkson, you go out there and you get him. I wouldn't mind Bruce Brown too, but Bruce Brown reminds me a lot of Josh Hart. So I wouldn't really want Bruce Brown on the Knicks. Jordan Clarkson's the guy that we need, a guy that can put the ball in the basket. We need a guy that can score off the bench. We got guys that can score in the starting lineup. Maybe you move Dante DiVincenzo to the freaking bench because he can actually put the ball in the basket. We need a scoring option off the bench. So they need to make another trade. And if they make a trade for one of these 3 guys, I do hope it's Jordan Clarkson. Guy who's averaging over 18 a night. I think it makes the most sense. He's been 6th man of the year candidate year in and year out. That's what would make this team a Eastern Conference Finals contender. But that's going to wrap up my Knicks talk. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Who do you think the Knicks should trade for to be their 6th man? And who do you think we should get as a center too? Because as much as I do love Hartenstein, we've seen his increase of minutes is not panning out. He can't really sustain it health-wise. But Chiefs at Ravens for AFC Championship, man. Finally, the Bills. Pat Mahomes is the best quarterback of all time. He's on his way to it. Tom Brady obviously beat him in the Super Bowl, and he does have 7 Super Bowl titles. But Pat Mahomes is the best pass thrower of this game. But Chiefs at Ravens, I think the Chiefs are going to win just because they got Pat Mahomes, and Pat Mahomes is that good. It's going to be a great game, but I think the Ravens are going to fall to the Chiefs. You got 2 top defenses going at it, and then 2 of the best quarterbacks in the game going at it with 2 very different play styles. You got one guy who obviously does it on the ground, and his accuracy is elite, and he can also throw the ball in the end zone, and that's Lamar Jackson. But then you got another guy who's got a cannon of an arm, and he can make plays out of the pocket just like the other guy. But they're 2 very different play styles. So I'm excited to see that, and they're both productive. But let's look at the numbers. Total yards in offense, Ravens got them. They're 5th in the league. Chiefs were 11th with 362 yards of offense a game. Passing-wise, though, Chiefs obviously got them. Pat Mahomes a better pass thrower than Lamar Jackson. They were 246 yards per game versus 213. But rushing yards, that's where they get them because obviously Lamar and then Gus Edwards, too, had a great year with the Ravens. Rutgers guy. 156 yards per game rushing. And then points-wise, they're top scoring team in the league. 4th in points with 28.4 points per game. Sheesh. But defensively, this is where the Chiefs have them. Third in the league in total yards, fourth in passing yards allowed, second in points allowed, but the Ravens are first in points allowed. But third down conversions. Chiefs, they convert 43.6% of the time versus the Ravens 42. So it's going to come down to third down because that's what every game comes down to. It's going to be a close game. This is going to be a close game. I think it's going to be the best game all postseason. But I think the Chiefs do come out on top because they do have Pat Mahomes. Lions, Niners, I think the Lions are taking this one. I'm riding the hot hand in this one. Brock Purdy is having a hell of a year. He had a disastrous game. He almost lost that one to the Green Bay Packers. Jordan Love had a great game, and Brock Purdy had a terrible game. But Niners did come out on top. Purdy got the job done when he needed to. But Jared Goff and the Lions, Dan Campbell, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs. This team is absolutely loaded. They're third in total yards a game. Niners are second in total yards a game. Lions are second in passing yards. Niners are fourth in passing yards. Lions are fifth in rushing yards. Niners are third in rushing yards. Lions are fifth in points. Niners are third in points. This is going to be a high-scoring contest. But this is where the Niners do have the edge. Total yards per game allowed on defense. Niners only allowed 322 a game versus the Lions 357. Seventh in the league are the Niners. 20th in the league are the Lions. So defensively, the Niners have the edge. They have Nick Bosa, who's a freaking beast. The Niners defense is stacked. Lions, they got a good defense. They got the second best Russian defense in the league, but outside of that, lackluster. They need to put points on the board. They put points on the board. I think the Lions win this game. If it's a high-scoring game, the Lions will win. But the defense needs to step up. But with the way Brock Purdy has been playing, I mean, in this last contest against Packers, he wasn't great. 23-39. He had an 86 passer rating. Without Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle, they don't win that game. So, and the defense. So I got the Super Bowl, obviously, going to the Lions and the Chiefs. With the Chiefs coming out on top, I'll say right now, this is my prediction right now. Chiefs 27, Lions 24 in the Super Bowl. And that's it. That's all I got on the pod today. Wrapping it up. That's it. Mets, David Stearns, please go extend Pete Alonso. Go sign a DH. Go get JD Martinez specifically. The Yankees should go get Blake Snell. And if they do, they're winning the World Series in 2024. I really wish I could say the same thing about the Mets, but they're just not that good. Maybe they sneak into the wild card. If the Mets make the wild card, that's a successful year. If the Yankees win the World Series, that's a successful year. That's the difference between the Mets and Yankees right now, which sucks. I'll admit it. It does suck, but it is what it is. But we'll see. Maybe 2025 is our year. Let's go Knicks against the Nets tomorrow. And, let's go Lions and let's go Chiefs because we're taking those guys this week. I'm out of here. Deuces.